Hi, my name is Ashanti.
Scott Noonan, nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Tanisha. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
And thank you for being in our interview.
Happy to be here.
So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So on the personal side, name is Scott Noonan, born and raised Jupiter, Florida. Was born and raised there 18 years, went to school at Florida State, go Noles, and after graduating moved to Tampa, Florida at the company that I'm at now, a company called ReliaQuest. We're a cybersecurity solutions company. Currently oversee all of hiring and recruiting, training development, and what we call employee engagement. So just think, people function is my area of responsibility.
What are your career goals?
Good question. What are my career goals? So it's interesting because in school I studied finance and marketing, which is what I thought I always wanted to get into. When I joined the company, it was as a recruiter, which I didn't know was a career path that you could take, meaning for a full-time job, I would find people to come work for the company. And so I haven't necessarily taken a traditional path of I have this goal in mind and then I go out and hit it. What I had done was I had really picked and attached myself to a company that maybe I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to be at a company that I knew that there was opportunity and there was growth and there was an opportunity for me to move up. And for me, that just happened to end up being, recruiting, training, and just really kind of almost, HR in a sense. So, I've been there almost 10 years and people ask hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I still don't know. And I think the big thing is you don't always have to have, and I don't really have this set plan in 5-10 years where I want to be. I think the main thing is if I'm given opportunity to learn new things, take on new challenges, and grow as a professional, and just do that, day in, week in, month out. That's really the goal. So I know it doesn't really answer your question, but for me, it's just kind of getting a little bit better every day.
Who or what inspired you most to do your career?
Who inspired me most in my career? I'd say probably my now boss. His name is Brian Murphy, so he's the founder and CEO of the company. So when we had started, there was 3 people at the company when I started. Now we have a little over 400 people. And so working directly with an entrepreneur and somebody that is a very ambitious and motivated person to work for. So I'd say I'd say learned most from him is he's gotten more out of me than what I thought I had in myself, if that makes sense. So I've accomplished more things in my short career, 9.5 years, than I ever thought was possible. And I think a lot of that is pushing the norms of pushing hey, look, is this really as good as you can get? Is this really where kind of you stop being great and there's no better than that? And so you just need kind of like a good coach, just like in sports. Like good coaches aren't always the easiest on you. It's not always rainbows, hugs, and sunshine. Sometimes it's tough love and kind of pushing your mindset of, hey, how much better can you be? And I think that that's been the most impactful thing working for somebody like that, is believing in me sometimes when I didn't even believe in myself, if that makes sense.
What do you consider your weakness?
What do I consider my weakness? Chocolate. No. I'd say it's a few things. Organization ain't my thing. I'd say I'm let's kind of ready, fire, aim. So a lot of times I'll see something, I'll start running, and it's not always organized, and that's not really my strong suit. I'm hey, let's hop into it. We'll figure out all the stuff that maybe I'm missing now, but we'll fix it along the way. So I'd say that's one. Overall, I'd say, given my background, so started with 4 people, now there's 400, a ton's changed in my job. So I almost have to reinvent, and the company overall has to evolve and reinvent how it does business every 6 to 8 months. And so what's really difficult is how do you start to get out in front of that, where it's not something that just kind of hits you in the face of, this doesn't work now, we have to change, we have to evolve, we have to adapt. And sometimes thinking strategically, like a true executive would have, let's think 12, 24, 36 months down the line. Let's spot those challenges now and start creating plans for them now to where you can be in more of an athletic position to take on what those obstacles are. And so I'd say those are the 2 things that I'm working on now to improve, but I would say are areas for improvement.
How do you deal with stress and pressure?
So one thing that I've learned is like stress doesn't do you any good. So let's say that there's a lot of work that has to happen in a short amount of time, or there's something that you have to solve for, but you don't know how to solve for it. Worrying about the problem isn't going to help you solve for it. So you have to have a mindset of, you have to think either neutral or think positively about it. You can't think negatively about something. So just being positive isn't going to, now you're thinking in the right mindset, you're going to solve it. Doesn't always mean that way. But if you think negatively about a situation, it is going to negatively impact the outcome. And so for me, it's just keeping neutral of like, okay, let's compartmentalize. Let's figure out like, what is it that I need to do right now? And I think it's like, if you've heard the analogy, like, like the Great Wall of China, like if they thought about how do I build this huge, massive wall, and you think about the picture in its totality from the start, like it's hard to get started, but it's like, I just got to lay this first brick perfectly, and I'm gonna lay the second one perfectly. And it's just like, round by round by round, you got to focus on the small things in the process in order to get to whatever end outcome that you're doing. So for me, I guess it's staying neutral, positive if possible, but then compartmentalize, and then it's executing on what you need to do right now in order to get the end job done.
What motivates you?
I'd say it's a few things. I'd say the main things, at least for me, specific to the company that I'm at, I'd say the people I work with are a big motivator. So a lot of how we hire isn't always, well, if it's an engineer, find the world's best engineer and hire them. A lot of times it's a personality type. We say attitude, energy, and effort are the three required ingredients of any good hire. So I work with a lot of people that are very ambitious, that are very motivated themselves. And so that is just like almost like you don't want to let those types of people down. Or you see somebody that's running really hard, it's just like, well, I want to run just as fast and not faster than them. So some of it's a healthy sense of competition. And I'd say in general, like I've always been into sports, and it's always been kind of like a, hey, like how do I get a little bit better? Or, it's just, I don't know any way to put it, just like a mindset of just like finding ways to get a little bit better every day. So similar to the answer I gave before, it's not overnight, I'm gonna be this different person, I'm gonna change everything of how I do, what I do, and be, it doesn't always work that way. It's just, okay, find something that I can improve in. What are my weaknesses? What can I do today to help move it in the right direction? So I'd say for me, it's just appreciating the process that it takes to be at an elite level. And it helps when you're around really great people to work with. I think I should say my wife and my son as well, so I'll get in trouble if I don't mention them, so them too, family and friends, really.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So I'll still be here. So it's funny, like we go to career fairs and talk with students at universities all over the country, and people will ask that, and like I could say, I'll be at ReliaQuest until there is no more ReliaQuest, and there's not a lot of people I feel that can straight face say like, hey, I'll be here forever. So be at ReliaQuest, what will I be doing at the company? It's tough to say because again, because we're rapidly growing, so we have a little over 400 people now. We'll be over 1,000 employees in 3 years, easy. We have 5 offices today that will probably be 6, 7, 8 over that time. So the point being, the companies, the needs, like customer needs are going to change, and we have to be adaptable as a company in order to support that. So whatever my role needs to be in order to facilitate that growth, to support customers, to support the ReliaQuest team, the ReliaQuest family, is what I'll need to do. Right now, it's, hey, make sure you hire good people, you provide proper training, development, and you keep people engaged, you make sure that they're in the know, like they feel bought into kind of the mission of where we're running. That's what it is today, but I mean, that could change next year. So I guess the short answer is like, whatever it is that they need, like I'm bought into the company and whatever direction it needs to go, and whatever help I can provide to get to bigger and better things is what I'll do.
If you were to hire someone today, what advice would you give them about your position?
I would say a few things. Because like when you think, so my title is Vice President of Development, people are like, oh wow, Vice President, like you must be really important. Like when you get inside the walls, like it's not like there's these magical meetings where we have everything mapped out to a T and the plan's not going to change, or we're going to follow this yellow brick road to the goal line, or that whatever end success that we're getting there. When you're at a company that is almost doubling in size year over year, like things change. And so I'd say you have to be adaptable in knowing when to kind of reforecast or reallocate like where you're spending your time, effort, and energy. So I'd say the main thing is like you have to be adaptable and to roll with the punches. Curveballs and things are going to come at you, and you have to be able to, all right, understand what's going on, kind of absorb it, analyze, and like make a quick decision of like this is what I'm going to do next, and then kind of leading with like kind of like your gut and best intent. So I'd say, got to be adaptable. You have to make quick decisions. For us, like time, like wait, we say is a joke, is like it's a bad 4-letter word, is wait. So for some people, it's like, man, like it seems reckless to make all these decisions. It's like you just made that decision, in a split second. Like, how can you do something like that? It's like, well, I'm really not making that decision in a split second. Like, I got 10 years of experience working here and making a lot of decisions like that. And so I'd say, like, you've got to be decisive of like, this is what we're going to do. Okay, I got to be adaptable. We got to do something else. I'm making the decision and I'm going. I'm not going to sit in this like analysis paralysis state, which can be dangerous because then you get stagnant. And then if everybody's thinking that way, the company doesn't grow as quickly as it could. So I'd say, got to be adaptable. You have to be decisive. And I'd say you have to be a great leader. Like if you think, well, who do I want to work for? Of like, everyone wants a boss that supports them, that allows me to make my own mistakes, that somebody that if I do make a mistake, like you'll rally behind me and get me back on track and help me be successful, help me reach the goals that I want in my professional life and my personal life. And so it's never losing sight of just being a good leader and just being a human at the end of the day and just making sure that you're taking good care of your team. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
What are some of your strengths?
Strengths. If I had to do a self-assessment of where I think that my strengths are, I think emotional intelligence may be one. So meaning not taking things at face value. You can kind of read in between the lines in certain situations. So when you're interviewing people, it's how do you know when's a good interview but they're not a good fit for the company? It's not what they're saying, it's kind of how they're saying it in the context that they're using it. Or some people have bad interviews, but we still think that they could be a good fit for the company. So I'd say recruiting in general that takes a lot of good emotional intelligence, I'd say that I'm pretty good at. I'd say another thing that is a strength, and it's probably because I'm not all too bright, but when something doesn't make sense or when something gets really complicated, just stepping back and be like, all right, like what are we solving for? Because it's easy to get wrapped around the axle of like the very mechanical details of what we're doing, and you start to lose sight of like, why are we talking about this again? Like, what are the end goals that we're trying to drive? And if this thing that we're talking about isn't driving us to this goal, why does it matter? And so I think it's just taking a step back and looking at something, kind of from a different vantage point and be like, is this really the best avenue to get to this end goal? Or is this really what we need to be spending our time, effort, and energy on? And so it's kind of like recalibrating the team and just kind of like, hey, look, like, are we doing what we should be right now? I'd say it would probably be 2 good things that I'm pretty good at.
What is your personal mission statement?
I don't even know if I know what a personal mission statement is, but if I were to make one up, like at the end of the day, I guess what I want people, like when people view Scott, and like what do they, like how they view me, I guess like I want people to trust, like people like understand that like they can trust the information that's coming out of me. Like I'm not gonna be intentionally deceitful, they can expect honest information out of me. Like for me, like loyalty is a very big thing, to friends, family, companies, all that. So I'd say that's one. I'd say somebody that at the end of the day cares, like, because we're talking a lot about work stuff, and like we're a very ambitious company and it has a lot of things. Sometimes people lose sight that the employees at a company, like they're people and they got people stuff going on outside work that can impact things that go inside in the office. And I think what I want people to understand is like I care about, it's not a coworker, like this is for a lot of me, like these are friends of mine, and so I want people to kind of understand like, at the end of the day, like I care. I care about you professionally, I care about you personally. So maybe I'll go with that. I don't know if that's a good personal mission statement, but like, just kind of loyalty, honesty, and like caring, like for me, I think are like, those are things that are probably most important to me.
What do you like most about participating in Think Big for Kids?
Oh, I knew this question was coming. So I'd say it's a few things. So one, we like participating in this. So one, as a company that's growing, we're always looking for potential interns or hires, and we've seen a ton of great talent and people that are really smart out of the program. So being involved, it's just a great way to meet potential future employees for the company. Beyond that, not to say like I wouldn't consider myself all that successful, but I've picked up some things along the way, and I think for me, it's just kind of like giving back, I think is something that's pretty interesting, where my feedback and my point of view and advice on things isn't going to resonate with everybody. It may resonate with a couple people, and I think having the opportunity to kind of tell the story of what's worked for me and kind of like some of the light bulbs that went on, I think it's fun at the end of the day, where it's just like, all right, like if there's some people that we can kind of help out of just like things that work for me, like to us, like, yeah, that is not only me, but ReliaQuest as a whole, like that's fun for us. Like that's something that's pretty cool to be able to be a part of.
If you were to have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I've actually thought about this a lot. I'd go, so I'm between two, but I'll give you what I would go. So I'd probably controlling time, because like I'm still a young guy, right? But like it's just funny, like the older you get, like time starts to like, the fact that I have a 1.5-year-old son, like it just seems like I was just in your shoes. Like, and I know you hear like a lot of people say that, and it's like, yeah, we get it, but like time starts to fly by. Like after college, it's almost scary how fast time goes. And so if I had a way to control time, that would be pretty cool. Teleportation, I think would also be, because I like to travel, like to see new and cool things. If I just like bang, like I'm in Europe or South America, I think that'd be, as long as I can like hook onto people and like take them with me. That's the only caveat. I need that. Let's do time first. If I can get a second, I'm gonna teleport.
Well, that completes this interview.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.